Hi, everybody, and welcome to Pace Studio on the Road. We are here at historic Club Passim in Cambridge with Chadwick Stokes. Chad, thank you for being here, man. Yeah. Dude, it's wonderful to see you. It's great to be here in your backyard. We've crossed paths a number of times in New York, but here we are in Cambridge today, so we really appreciate your time. We're about to hear new music. We're going to hear some unreleased music, and we're going to hear a fan favorite as well. What's happening first today?
First is a song called As Old As I. It came out maybe about a month ago, or a few weeks ago, and it's about that unwritten promise, or that understood promise for parents to outlive their children, or for their children to outlive them, and what happens to the psyche, I guess, when that doesn't happen, or when that becomes thrown into question as to whether that promise can be fulfilled. So it's kind of heavy song, but these are heavy times. Higher yet, my love, grab a hold tightly. Up on the counter, my dear, the water is rising. Don't you let go, my dear, I can't let you die. Till you're as old as I, as old as I, as old as I. Look both ways, my dear, don't trip on your laces. But here you lie, shot in your sleep by a bullet gone stray. You gave me your blessing to keep you alive. Till you're as old as I, 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 as old as I. Or the time for the distance, as old as I, 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 as old as I. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Chad, man. I like that song a lot. Thanks for sharing it with us today. And so the new music that's coming out right now, and that one's out in the world, and so phase 1 and phase 2 are out publicly. And can you talk about how that song fits into the overarching theme of what you guys are doing right now?
Yeah, I guess that's in the early phases of kind of this what we are talking about with this album is kind of these phases of grief, which coincide with the phases of change, and there's some overlaps there, and depending on who you talk to or what you search on the internet, it tells you different things about the phases. But we kind of brought that together in this batch of 15 songs, and that, I would say that's in the first bit that's still struggling with the shock of change or grief, and trying to come to grips with a new reality, and kind of fighting it. So it's like kind of that shock and denial, and definitely in the thick of that initial grief.
And I mean, where does that to you coincide with where we're at societally? I mean, are we in shock? Are we in anger? I mean, a lot of those things are happening all at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, this album, some of these songs are let's say 4 years old and were written just around the time when Trump was elected to office. And for me, I know, and for many women in my life especially, there was grief there in the dreams of my daughters and my wife and my mom, and seeing Hillary so close to breaking that glass ceiling, only to be for the White House then to be occupied by the equivalent of a 7-year-old bully. That's kind of my nicest way of describing him.
It's a very tasteful euphemism that didn't have to be that tasteful, but yeah.
So, I felt like there was a first bit of a wave of national grief right there. And of course, what we've experienced in the last year alone has made that wave look relatively small. And here we are with 400,000 dead from COVID, the continued abuse of minorities by people in power that hit that threshold or that breaking point with George Floyd's murder. So there's so much more grief. So I think that's where some of these songs fit in. I with the national grief and there's personal change and grief. For me, writing's always kind of a mixture of the personal with kind of the news of the day.
Yeah, well, dude, we appreciate very much you bringing that message to us. And I mean, I feel like there's many waves within those stages where there's, 4-year-long waves where all those stages happen. But there's also, I mean, from day to day, those things change very much. And then Unity being the last one. And I feel like what we're doing here right now, we've got a great crowd tuned in. People are enjoying this very much. And I think it's helping me personally right now to feel a sense of unity with you. We're hanging out and doing this. The internet's here. And this is wonderful, man. Thank you for coming and sharing the music. And there's a lot more. What are you going to do second today?
I'll do a song called May We All, which I guess touches on some of what we were just talking about. And this feeling, I feel different now. We have a long ways to go, but I was so relieved a few days ago to see Air Force One take off from Andrews Air Force Base. Was such a relief. And so I do feel there's some hope, but there's so much work yet. But this song's about that feeling of being forsaken and how so many of us in different areas in our lives and so many of us across this country, different demographics of how forsaken different groups have been, kind of speaks to that. But it starts with the personal stuff. Time. I asked him if it worked when he got back. He said he didn't have the time to tell me anything, or the time to let her go. But I guess it wasn't a good time to press, so I guess I'll never know, On the way back home, looking straight ahead, we were hypnotized by the road. Saw the coins on the dashboard float and decide that they could float in the air. I looked back at the time and mistook it for the radio. I thought about the little choices we made along, and the song played on as if it didn't know. May we all be forsaken, like the soldier trying to leave, the mother trying to sleep in.
current of hate bleeding on and on and on to sell our souls. They asked me while I was crying, said I stubbed my toe, and I wanted to blame the roots on the trees for pushing up the concrete, but now I know. Mistook it for the radio. I thought about the little choices we made along, and the song played on as if it didn't know. May we all be forsaken, like the black man trying to breathe, the woman who's never believed in. May we all be mistaken about our current state, about the current of hate bleeding on and on and on to sell our souls. He asked me while I was crying, said I stubbed my toe, and I wanted to blame the roots of the trees for pushing up the concrete, but now I know. Soldier trying to leave, the mother's trying to sleep in. Maybe all be mistaken about our current state, about the current of hate. May we all be forsaken, like the black man trying to breathe, the woman who's never believed in. May we all be mistaken about the current of hate, about the current of state.
Man, this is a great way to start the Friday, Chad. Thank you for being here and doing this. And it's delightful to have you at Club Passim. This is the first time that you played this stage. And this place is, I've been reading this. You should take a look at this, actually. I meant to show you this beforehand, but Baby Let Me Follow You Down. This is all about the Cambridge folk years.
Wow, yes.
50s, 60s, and 70s. And this place played a huge part in that.
Incredible, yes.
Two different incarnations from 47 Mount Auburn Street to 47 Palmer Street, where we are now. So, I mean, this is important in this musical community. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of your musical community, whether that's local to here or whether it's spread out globally, but just the importance of being able to lean on fellow musicians in that community to buoy you up when things are weird and going crazy right now?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, that there's so many people in our industry who are hurting. And as we were talking earlier, venues shutting down, all our friends who were bouncers or tending bar, just a really, really hard time to be in this world. I find music still saves me during very dark moments. Not my music, but other people's music.
But then yours in turn does that for a number of people, man. A lot of them are tuned in right now and having a great time. It's massively helpful.
That's good, yeah. It is helpful to just play. And my brother's been in, my brother Willie, who plays the banjo and plays with me in my solo band, the Pintos, he and I, it's helpful to kick around with him. And but I'm really there's obviously group texts with the band. That's really helpful. Staying in touch with my bandmates and the crew, who we've become so close with over the years, and wonderful people. And then just other musicians that I'm fans of and listening to music, and helps me get through some of the tougher times. But it's a tricky time to be in this world, and so my heart goes out to musicians that were less established than I was when COVID hit me. Luckily I was I'm 44 now, so I was established enough to be like, okay, we can try to piece this thing together. My wife's working, and I just stay home with the 3-year-old while the other two are in remote, schooling. So we've been able to get by, and we're all living on my family's old farm with my parents, and so I've been really lucky, but I really feel for, I just imagine, what if this had happened? What if I was in my 20s and we were just getting the band going and this happened, just starting to like kind of realize a dream, and it's all put on hold, and sometimes it's hard to go back to those dreams when they get really halted like this.
Yeah, totally. I'm sure that there are plenty of formative musicians right now that it isn't going to go back, that they're going to fall off and do something else, which sucks, man. This whole thing is not ideal. But I mean, again, with those little mini waves within a day, I feel excellent right now. I really appreciate your music, and I also wanted to talk about one of the songs that's out in the world right now is The White Buffalo is on it.
Yes.
And I've been listening to it a lot. And we hosted Jake and his glorious beard at the studio one time, and that's a wonderful song, man. I really, really enjoy it.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
There's no question there. I just enjoy it a lot.
No, I love Jake. Yeah, I love White Buffalo so much. We're old buds at this point, so it was great. When I first played it to him, he was like, "Wow!" He's like, "Wow, I got chills." I wanted to give him shit about like getting chills to his own. I think he was saying I was going to give him shit about getting chills to his own voice, but because he was so surprised how loud we had it in the mix and how much we used it. He's like, "You really went for it," and I'm like, I'm such a big White Buffalo fan. I'm like, "Damn right, man. If you're gonna sing I'm gonna like push it," and so. And thankfully, Brad and Dispatch and the other guys, they all loved it. So it's nice to have his voice on a track.
Yeah, dude, that's a huge resonant voice that is delightful to be right in the front of the mix. And man, you guys have done great. I'm enjoying the songs that are out right now, and we'll stay tuned as more are released. And there's more music coming up in this session today. What do you feel like doing third?
I'll do, why don't I do an old one just to change it up for a second. This little guy. This is Only the Wild Ones. Long hair and longer stride, skateboard affair with the primal tribe. And you cut off paint to pants, charging down those craggy mountains with our thrift store friends. Who you find so in love with the fallen earth? Who you wake in the middle of the fallen night with the summer playing coy? Of the city night, we talked Corso in the MC5, and you could dance like we were all on the ride. And only the wild ones give you something and never want it back. For the riot and the rush of the warm are the ones you can never catch. Stars are up now, no place to go but anywhere. One I met in the Green Mountain State, I dropped down, he moved away. Heard he got some land down south, changed his name to a name the birds could pronounce. And only the wild ones give you something and never want it back. Oh, the riot and the rush of the warm night. Yeah, only the wild ones. Oh, if something never want it back. Stars are up now, no place to go but anywhere. City that
facts are all misled. So you grabbed your things and moved to the other coast. You said you're gonna be like Rosie, oh, and only the right ones give you something and never want it back. Oh, the riot and the rush of the warm night, yeah, only the right ones are the ones you can never catch. Stars are up now, no place to go but anywhere.
Nice, dude, that's wonderful. And I'm not sure, Andrew, if you're picking up that beeping or not, but it was delightfully in tune, happened to be with that song. So, man, it sounds great in the room. I have no doubt that Andrew's mix that's being beamed out to the internet right now is sounding tremendous. Nice. Dude, thank you for doing this. So last time we did it, there was a bottle of fancy German wine, and we talked about calling all crows, and I never want to miss an opportunity to drink German wine, and I never want to miss an opportunity to talk about calling all crows, because that is an important organization that does a lot of different types of important work. Can you tell people what it is for people who aren't familiar, and the sorts of initiatives that you guys do and how people can participate?
Yeah, Calling All Crows as an organization we started about 11 or 12 years ago, and it just tries to marry the power of music and the music industry with activism and different causes, and we kind of adopt different causes over the years, and we also help bands if they're interested in kind of cultivating their own activism. We help them with that. So it's we've been focusing recently on trying to help end mass incarceration, and we've been working with Reverend Warnock, the new senator from Georgia. We didn't know when we first started working with him a year ago that he was running, but he has a wonderful multi-faith. He's part of a wonderful multi-faith organization called Ending Mass Incarceration that our campaign, Unlocked Voices, has teamed up with. And it's been wonderful to get to know him. And of course, we're thrilled that he is occupying a Senate seat. But it's this country, just if I can speak to that problem, and particularly now during this pandemic, our prison population is been hit substantially harder than everyone else because of the close quarters and the lack of care, essentially. And it's a prison system that's so overloaded anyways, and we here in the U.S. we are something like 5% of the population of the world, but we have 20% of anyone locked up in the world is in our land, and it's predominantly men and women of color, and some of the people in prison never even, obviously, some of them are just serving time until they get to their trial, or it's just like some of them aren't even convicted and they're just sitting there. So it's just an incredibly broken and sad system, and so we are actively trying to change that with some wonderful partners.
Nice. Do you guys, the line about the MC5 in that last song reminded me of, do you guys ever cross paths with Wayne Kramer and Jail Guitar Doors? I think Billy Bragg started it, and then Wayne started the U.S. chapter, where I think they're just dedicated to, incarceration reform, but also just getting guitars and getting musical instruments into the prison. So there's some level of hope.
I haven't talked to Wayne in a while, but with my other band, State Radio, we would tour periodically with Tom Morello, and Wayne was on one of those tours. Tom from Rage Against the Machine, and Wayne,
Was Boots Riley around at that point?
Yes.
Yeah, dude, I remember that.
Who's now a director, right? He had Boots as an amazing
Sorry
musician.
to bother you.
Yeah. Incredible. And on that tour, we had Perry Farrell, and it was on that tour. And in L.A., we met. It was just like this cornucopia. I don't think I've ever used that word, but if I'm using it correct, it was a cornucopia of like my heroes, my rock and roll heroes. And there we were, like State Radio, just on the same stage with those guys. So it was crazy. But Wayne is a hero of mine, and thank you for reminding me. Maybe I'll look. I'll reach out to him and try to tell him what we're doing and see where he's at.
Yeah. Well, man, thank you for everything that you do inside and outside of music. We're always happy to use this platform to help amplify that voice. It's always a pleasure to have you here, and we're going to hear one more song this afternoon. What do you feel like playing last today?
This is an unreleased one, but hopefully to be released relatively soon. It's called Born on Earth. And thanks for having me, Paste and Club Passim, the storied classic club. It's when you were talking about the history of this place, I got chills just thinking about it.
Oh, do you know there's a place you can go? It's a place that is weathered and worn, but you can't stay there long, like the plow and the stone. But you can wait if you'd like to be born to a dark heaven on earth, plagued by men's greed and sorrow and hurt, but born also to the beauty of tomorrow, leading us back to the dirt. The old oak tree watches us like we were bees, just flitting and frittering in a golden. Everybody knows we all died yesterday, and the day after that we were born to a dark heaven on earth, plagued by men's greed and sorrow and hurt, but born also to the beauty of tomorrow, leading us back to the dirt. I worry my mind, I worry my mind, I worry my mind till I lose all the time. Of tomorrow, leading us back to the dirt, leading us back to the dirt, leading us back to the dirt.
All right, man, thank you for starting off our Friday this way. We always love having you in the studio, well, in this brand new location. It's great to be here. Andrew literally just parked his car at Harvard Yard, which we can see from here, and so this has been a delightful, like a scene out of a movie. I'm having a wonderful day. Thanks for starting it like this, and we'll stay tuned for new music as it becomes available and as announcements are made.
Cool. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you. And... Sorry, man. We're still